Welcome to the Human 5.0 Project, the podcast where we cut straight to the breakthroughs that matter, the show where science meets self-optimization. I'm your host, Ultimate Biohacker 10X, and here we break down the real research, real data, and real dosing behind modern biohacking, from compounds and peptides to techniques, devices, lifestyle strategies, and performance protocols. Most people jump in and jump out before they get the gold, so we're keeping it tight and delivering the essential insights you need without the fluff. If you've taken the time to hit play, we'll make sure you walk away with valuable knowledge that can transform your approach to longevity, health optimization, and beyond.
If you're over 40, waking up once or twice a night to pee, noticing your stream is weaker, or dealing with vague pelvic pressure, the internet will eventually send you down the Russian peptide rabbit hole. Prostamax, Vesilute Vesugen. Precision bioregulators. Tissue-specific signaling. Secret anti-aging peptides from St. Petersburg. Sounds elite, but the real question is, what is actually proven and what is just elegant marketing wrapped around thin data? This is a data quality episode, not a miracle cure episode. We're cutting through the hype on these Khavinson-style bioregulators. I'll show you what the studies actually say, including the stronger clinical benchmark most people overlook. I'm your host, Ultimate Biohacker 10X with the Human 5.0 Project, broadcasting from the sun-soaked shores of Palm Beach, where the ocean's rhythm reminds me daily that adaptation is everything. Okay? Let's do this. But first, a quick disclaimer before we dive in. This episode is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not medical advice. Peptides, supplements, or any interventions discussed today may not be appropriate for everyone. If you have a medical condition, take medication, are pregnant, or have cardiovascular, neurological, or psychiatric concerns, please talk with a qualified clinician before making any changes. Okay, cool? All right, let's get the flow flowing. So these compounds come from decades of work by Professor Vladimir Khavinson and his team in Russia. They developed short peptides, just a few amino acids long, designed to act like tissue-specific signals. The core idea is that these short peptides act like tissue-specific signals, nudging aging or inflamed cells toward a more normal repair pattern. It's elegant in theory, and it's why many biohackers get excited about them for prostate and pelvic health. Prostamax is a synthetic tetrapeptide with the sequence lys-glu-asp-pro. It's positioned as a prostatotrophic bioregulator aimed primarily at prostate tissue. Important distinction right from the start. Prostamax is the newer synthetic version. Prostatilen, by contrast, is an older, natural polypeptide extract derived from animal prostate tissue. They are not the same, and mixing them up leads to overreading the evidence. The clearest and most cited paper is the 2013 preclinical study by Boroskaeva and colleagues. In a rat model of chronic aseptic prostatitis, animals treated with Prostamax for 15 days showed reduced prostate swelling, less vascular congestion, decreased lymphoid infiltration, and some protection against atrophic and sclerotic changes. And here's the nerd note. In that model, the synthetic Prostamax tetrapeptide actually outperformed both the herbal extract, Serenoa repens, and the natural prostate polypeptide extract, Samprost, in reducing inflammation and preventing atrophy. That gives some listeners a reason to pay attention to the newer synthetic approach. Mechanistically, the idea is that it may help modulate inflammation and support tissue repair in a more targeted way. Here's the sharper reality check. Prostamax is interesting enough to study, but not established enough to trust blindly. The human evidence is thin, mostly extrapolated or anecdotal. We lack large-scale, randomized, placebo-controlled trials in men. The evidence ladder still matters. Mechanistic plausibility is not the same thing as clinical confidence. To give you proper context, let's look at the clinical benchmark, Prostatilen. This older, prostate-derived polypeptide has a much larger body of Russian clinical literature behind it. A well-known 1991 study with 307 men with chronic prostatitis reported meaningful improvements in pain, urinary symptoms, sexual function, and objective measures after short courses, typically 5 to 10 milligrams IM daily for 5 to 10 days, or as rectal suppositories, often up to 30 milligrams, which many men find more tolerable. Reviews spanning decades describe its use in chronic prostatitis and BPH settings, especially in short cycles. Here's a quick fire comparison. Prostatilen, which would be the veteran, natural bovine prostate extract, polypeptide complex, decades of human urology data in Russian literature, and it's delivered as rectal suppositories or IM injections. Prostamax, the new tech. This is a synthetic lab tetrapeptide, stronger preclinical anti-inflammatory data in rat models, and typically discussed as subcutaneous injection or oral. Prostatilen carries the heavier real-world clinical footprint in the available literature. Prostate symptoms rarely involve only the prostate. The bladder and pelvic blood flow often play major roles too. Here's a clean way to remember the pelvic trio. Prostate signal, then Prostamax or Prostatilen. Bladder support signal, then Vesilute. Blood flow or endothelial angle, then Vesugen. Now Vesilute's a dipeptide, glue-asp, and it's positioned for the bladder and lower urinary tract, potentially helping with detrusor muscle tone and irritative symptoms like urgency. Evidence here is thinner. Vesugen is the vascular tripeptide lyse glue asp. It shares the first 3 amino acids with Prostamax, but it lacks the final proline, which may alter its tissue targeting. It has some preclinical and small human interest in endothelial function, with emerging mechanistic work suggesting it may help normalize endothelin-1 and support SIRT1 in vascular endothelial cells. It's not just about opening pipes, it's about repairing the biological lining of those pipes so the prostate and bladder can eventually receive the repair signals we're sending, and that lining would be the endothelium. This episode is most relevant for men dealing with chronic prostatitis type symptoms, BPH-style urinary complaints, pelvic discomfort, or prostate plus vascular issues, not for people looking for a random anti-aging peptide stack. Because the human data is thin for Prostamax, Vesilute, and Vesugen, I'm not going to give you confident take exactly this dose protocols. Once the evidence is thin, precision language becomes fake confidence. These are often discussed in short cycles of 10 to 30 days rather than daily long-term use in product circles. For Prostatilen, the literature more clearly describes short courses of 5 to 10 milligram injections or suppositories for 5 to 15 days, sometimes repeated. Before considering any of these, prioritize proven fundamentals. One simple evidence-based non-peptide option worth mentioning here is beta-sitosterol, typically 120 to 160 milligrams per day. Multiple randomized controlled trials show it can improve urinary symptom scores, peak flow rate, and residual urine volume in men with BPH, with decent tolerability and far stronger human data than the peptides that we're discussing. The smartest approach is always the same. Get a proper urologic workup first, baseline PSA, symptom scoring like IPSS, and accurate diagnosis. Work with a knowledgeable clinician. Focus on sleep, stress management, pelvic floor therapy when indicated, hydration, and metabolic health. Peptides, if used at all, are never the whole story. Hype says these are precision Russian fixes. Reality, well, it's more measured. Prostamax shows interesting effects in rat models and outperforms Seronorepins and Samprost in one preclinical study. Prostatilen has a longer track record in Russian clinical use. Vesugen has vascular plausibility, and Vesilute, that's the thinnest link. As of early 2026, the FDA continues to scrutinize many peptides under Category 2 class. Russian and European bioregulators are often sold as supplements elsewhere, but in the US, they sit in a gray area. As a black and gray market grows, the risk of adulterated or inconsistent products is real. If you aren't testing your source, you're not biohacking, you're gambling. These compounds may be promising. They may even become more important with better human data. But right now they sit in the gap between mechanistic elegance and clinical proof. The evidence ladder still matters. Mechanistic plausibility is not the same thing as clinical confidence. If you want to stay smart in that gap, start with diagnostics, not mythology. See a urologist, track your symptoms honestly, and if you ever experiment under proper supervision, feel free to share your real-world experience anonymously in the comments. Thanks for listening. Stay curious, stay evidence-based, and stay flowing. And I will see you in the next episode. This is Ultimate Biohacker 10X. I'm out. Thanks for listening to the Human 5.0 Project.
If you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready to elevate their biology. Make sure to follow the show for weekly deep dives into peptides, protocols, devices, lifestyle strategies, and the science of high-performance longevity. Until next time, stay curious, stay optimized, and stay 10x.